Good afternoon, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, and I'm here to talk about the 2021 Feywild themed Unearthed Arcana from Wizards of the Coast. Now, what Unearthed Arcana is nowadays is a selection of playtest materials put out online. I'll put a link in the description or comments, depending on the platform that this is running on. So, they released 4 new races. I'll talk about them a little bit and kind of talk about the theme here we got going and some of the notes I've taken. So I printed out the PDF on a paper. So I'll be waving this paper around as I talk. So the first of these 4 races I want to talk about is the fairy. This was fairy or sprite or pixie from Humanoid Handbook in 2nd edition, one of these supplements that was put out. But we're bringing out this creature into 5th edition. You may have seen some use in 3rd or the edition we don't talk about. So, fairy, creature type, you're a fae, as opposed to you're a humanoid. Now, there are a few spells that affect fae and not humanoids and vice versa. Something to think about, not a huge problem at all. Size, you're small. That means if you use weapons that are heavy and huge and big, great swords and pole arms, you're going to have a problem. Probably be a disadvantage with some of those. That's okay. Speed. Your walking speed is 30 feet, and you have the power of fairy flight, which is a 30-foot, same as your walking speed, flight, which does not require the use of wings. Specifically says it does not require wings because it's fully magical and it's not a physical function. And the ability to hover. You can hover. So, we're going to get into that when I talk about the Owlfolk. Fairy magic. You cast the Druidcraft and Fairy Fire spells without expending a spell slot. Kind of cool. Your spell casting ability for these spells is your choice of Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. Now, generally speaking, with a spellcaster, the spell casting ability is chosen as per the class, and it does not get this option of just pick whatever the highest ability is. But okay, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Fey Passage, this is kind of a new thing. You can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide. So whatever your form is of your size, smallish creature, you can just kind of compress and squeeze and then come back out after going through a cracked window or something. Great ability between that and the flight. Super infiltration specialist guy. I'll skip the hobgoblins, come back to them. Owlfolk. Okay, so the Owlfolk are distant kin of giant owls. They are a humanoid type. Size medium or small, your choice when you write up the character. You pick, or do you want to be a smallish, or do you want to be a medium-sized creature? Speed. Your walking speed is 30 feet. You have nimble flight. Thanks to your wings, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. Now, the Owlfolk kind of remind me of the Aarakocra, but the Aarakocra go with a 25-foot walking and 50-foot flying. And people complain, oh, the Aarakocra are totally overpowered because they have flight and claws that do a little bit of damage, but not much. Thanks to your wings, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. When you fall, you can use your reaction to make a dexterity saving throw, DC 10, super easy to make, to avoid falling and fly in place until the start of your next turn. That's not the ability to just straight up hover at will. So what we've done there is we've brought back maneuverability classes for flying creatures. If that sounds familiar, that means that you probably have a 1st edition DM's guide somewhere in your library. We're basically bringing that back. Silent Feathers. You have proficiency in the stealth skill. Cool. Silent Hunters. You have 90 feet of dark vision. Now, generally, everybody who has dark vision has either 60 foot dark vision. Oh, I want to say infravision. That's old school. Okay, 60-foot infravision is standard. You get 90 foot of dark vision with the Owlfolk. There are a few creatures out there with 120 feet dark vision, but all of those creatures have sensitivity to sunlight where they have disadvantage on rolls. So this is a slightly newer, best of both worlds type of dark vision, where you get a lot of dark vision at night and no penalties at the day. Magic Sight. Your keen senses can focus to see the presence of magic. You gain the ability to cast Detect Magic spell only as a ritual. And spell casting ability for this spell is your choice of Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma. You can also cast a spell normally with any spell slots you have. Okay. What they did here, your spell casting ability for this spell doesn't matter, because Detect Magic generally doesn't require any sort of roll at all. So it doesn't matter what ability you're basing it off of if you never have to roll for it. So now we've discussed the maneuverability classes, huh? So let's go into number 3, Rabbitfolk. I gotta admit, I kind of think this might be kind of cool. There was a Rabbitfolk character on Nerd Poker, the podcast of D&D being played by Brian Posehn and his friends. The character is called Nathan Whiskers, and he has an ability called Unwavering Cuteness that he can do once per long rest, and basically is the effect of a charm person spell. You just put up the big sad eyes and charm. Cool. This is a little different though. Creature type, humanoid. Size, medium or small. Pick it when you roll it. Cool. Speed, walking speed is 30 feet. Hair trigger. Pun fully intended there. You add your proficiency bonus to your initiative rolls. That would be really sweet if you combined it with, say, a barbarian or something, or anything that has an advantage on initiative rolls, because advantage on rolls, and then both of those rolls have proficiency bonus added. You throw a high dex on top of there, you'd be one fast dude. Leporine senses. I can't pronounce that, can I? Did I pronounce it right? You have proficiency in the perception skill. Fine, another skill slot. Cool. Lucky footwork. When you fail a dexterity save, you can use your reaction to roll a d4 and add it to your result, potentially turning the failure into a success. It's only a d4, no big deal. That's kind of cool. You have quick, you have dexterous. Rabbit hop. Once during each of your turns, when you walk at least 5 feet, you can hop, rolling a d12 and moving that many feet in a direction of your choice. This extra distance doesn't cost movement, and you can hop only if your speed isn't 0. So if you've been stuck in place, you can't use it. But that's kind of redundant, because it says during each of your turn when you walk at least 5 feet. You can't walk at least 5 feet if your movement's 0. A little redundancy in the writing there. But it sounds like a cool little race. You know, cute. I am really surprised that my daughter doesn't demand to play this, but she already has her heart set on an Aarakocra druid. So number 4 is Hobgoblin of the Fae. Now, Hobgoblin of the Feywild are not the same as the Hobgoblins in Volo's Guide. Now, the Hobgoblins in Volo's Guide they stuck with the old thing of hobgoblins being basically lawful evil, militaristic, and focused on having honor and pride. Their special ability was saving face, and it was the equivalent of, I'm not going to screw up twice, not in front of these jerks. So if they failed on something, they'd have a bonus for another die roll. But it was not about teamwork quite as much. It was about honor and integrity and just stubbornness. So this is a little different, not terrible. Creature type, you're a humanoid. Size, medium. Walking speed, 30 feet. Dark vision, 60 feet. All very standard. Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the charmed condition on yourself. Okay, charm doesn't come up that often, but all right. Fey gift. You may use this trait to take the help action as a bonus action, and you can do so a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So the help action gives people advantage on rolls. So as bonus action, you're throwing out advantage on rolls. Everybody else gets advantage a number of times. Imagine a squad of these dudes all getting advantage. Some of them are rogues, so when they get advantage on a roll to hit, boom, sneak attack, extra damage. Starting at 3rd level, choose one of the options below each time you take the help action, whether as a bonus action or as an action. Now remember, you can use help any number of times as a regular action instead of just as a bonus action. Hospitality. Gaining a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d4 plus your proficiency bonus. Temporary hit points are actually pretty cool. Passage. You and the target of your help action each increase your walking speeds by 10 feet until the start of your next turn, making this hypothetical squad of hobgoblins all move very quickly through a combat area. Spite. Until the start of your next turn, the first time you or the target of your help action hits a creature with an attack roll, that creature has disadvantage on the next attack roll that it makes within the next minute. 10 rounds. So it would be just stacking help action and bonuses and advantages and disadvantages in a combat. That could really add up and be pretty nasty with this hypothetical squad of 5 hobgoblins. Fortune of the Many. If you miss with an attack roll or fail an ability check or a saving throw, you can draw upon your bonds of reciprocity to gain a bonus to the roll equal to your number of allies you can see within 30 feet of you. Maximum bonus of +5. Sound familiar? You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, so 2 to 5 times. And you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Pretty powerful stuff. So worded slightly differently than the militaristic lawful evil hobgoblins of Volo's Guide and of, well, pretty much every edition we've had hobgoblins. But okay, I do have one problem with this Unearthed Arcana, which I will link. And here it is. Ability score increases. When determining your character's ability scores, increase one of these scores by a 2 and a different score by a 1, or increase 3 different scores by +1. That's Tasha's Guide coming at us. This is the post-Tasha's Guide stuff, where the racial bonuses aren't per the different species of creatures, but just kind of willy-nilly, hey, everybody gets a bonus. That willy-nilly, everybody gets a bonus means that pixies and sprites can be as strong as Goliaths, or orcs can be as smart as high elves. That's not quite right. I'm not asking for a return to first edition rules where you had different bonuses, but different maximums for each race and gender. I'm not asking for any of that, but the just flat out bonus roll across all types of these different species, all being the same, regardless of how different they are culturally, physically, or in their other descriptors. I don't like it. I don't think it's quite right. I wouldn't necessarily use that, but since they don't have a specified ability score for each creature in these 4 creatures, I have to wing it or allow it. But I'll throw a description in the I'll throw a link in the description. Pardon me on that. But this is Dan Kurt signing out.